The sound you hear is what some experts claim to be a Bigfoot scream. Recorded in the state of Washington by a group of campers in 1971, it is regarded as the highest quality audio of the creature ever captured.
Hello! Welcome to Bigfoot Real Encounters. We're glad to have you stop by. We'd also like to take this time to invite you to share your encounter. You can send your stories to the email bfrealencounters@mail.com, where we will feature your story with all of the respect that it deserves. So send your stories in, bfrealencounters@mail.com. We look forward to hearing from you and your great stories soon. Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Bigfoot Real Encounters. This is Chris. It looks like Bigfoot season, if you want to call it that, is well underway right now. On my Facebook, I have joined several different groups and pages that deal with Bigfoot around my area, as well as other states also. And I'm starting to see a lot of posts and even a couple of videos of the Big Hairy walking around, leaving his tracks and the like. I even saw a campground in the next county over where I'm at, where people will have their RVs and such and all the activities. And one person had a picture of their car sitting there with a log approximately 8 inches in diameter and nearly 4 feet long thrust through the windshield, and all they could say was it must have been Mother Nature that did that when it rained last night. And I'm like, oh my God, Mother Nature does not do those things. For crying out loud. I encourage them on the website to consider the possibility of Bigfoot activity in the area, which of course I did a search on a couple of Bigfoot organizations and the groups that do take reports and post them online. And yes, there were some in that area, historically, what I'm talking about. So yeah, this log was right through the middle of the windshield toward the top. Almost looked placed in the middle, approximately where the rear view mirror would be, straight up and down. And it was not at an angle, but it was like something was stood over top the car and thrusted down into the car through the windshield. And I just don't imagine a rainstorm producing something like that. It looked odd to me. So keep your eyes open, folks, for things like this out there occurring, and watch out for the occasional footprint, which I've seen some pictures of those. And people are having encounters right now at this moment. And I encourage you, send them in. I will be faithful and read your encounter word for word. It can be anonymous, but send it in. bfrealencounters@mail.com. Your story deserves to be told. You deserve to be listened to. So let's get the stories out there. It's up to us to get these stories out there and to educate our young ones and our friends and family and our neighbors. So all that being said, let's get on with today's stories and encounters. I'm going to take a look at Pennsylvania, as you probably saw in the title and the thumbnail. Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. It looks like it was in the early 1970s. They're not sure when, during the summertime. And now this one reads, I had a little pony I was riding, and I was supposed to meet a friend by this little village. I was riding bareback that day, and as my pony came to the top of the hill, we were on a little back road. He suddenly stopped dead and braced himself and put his ears straight forward. as though he were looking and listening to something. I looked down the road, and about 400 feet away, I saw this big reddish-brown thing on the road, which happens to be the same color as my friend's horse, and it was moving toward us. Keep in mind, this all happened so very quickly, but at the time, it seemed like everything was going slowly. My first thought was, oh, she must have gotten thrown and her horse is heading back to the barn. But as I was thinking this, the thing was getting closer, and I could see it was very big. It had long reddish-brown hair, and its arms were swinging back and forth as it walked toward us. It had very long arms. As I suddenly realized, this was Bigfoot. My pony, all on his own, reared up and turned at the same time, and took off running back down the hill we just had come up. Believe me, I had to hang on. My biggest fear was falling off, and Bigfoot getting me. I made him turn into this lady's yard at the bottom of the hill, and I yelled and screamed till she came out. Then she went in and called my uncle. My uncle showed up and followed me in his truck till I got the pony back to the barn. Then he had me get in the truck, and we went back to where I saw the Bigfoot. He got out and looked at the woods along the road, and he did find a place where the branches had been broken, as if something had left the road and went into the woods. This was all reported to Stan Gordon many years ago. The only things I can really say as far as being descriptive are that it was very, very quiet that day. It also seemed as if my pony and I were hit at the same time with the knowledge that this was not something normal coming toward us. We both reacted together. Thank goodness, because being bareback, I almost slept off. As far as Bigfoot himself, he was very tall, but also very broad, a stocky or sturdy kind of build. He had reddish-brown long hair all over, although his head seemed like there was less hair, and it was small in proportion to his body. I did not see his face. His arms were very long, and they just swung back and forth as he walked. For some reason, those long arms stand out in my mind. Anyways, it doesn't matter to me anymore. After all these years, if anyone believes me or not, I know what I saw. Oh, and when I saw my friend later that day, I just had to ask her if she had gotten thrown off her horse while out riding. She said no. Wow, what a story. And imagine to see one of the Bigfoot walking toward you on the road. That would make me want to turn my horse around and run also. Or if I didn't have a horse, I would be making tracks myself as fast as I could. They are rather scary. She mentioned that she reported to Stan Gordon. Now, Stan Gordon is a very, very well-known person that investigates some of these strange occurrences like Bigfoot, and he's also very well-known in the UFO community. I've actually seen him on television talking about some of the UFO incidences, and the Kecksburg UFO incident in Pennsylvania in the early 60s, and talking about other things as well as Bigfoot hauntings and other type of paranormal things throughout Pennsylvania. Very well-known person. So this story has been out there for a while, I guess. This report states that it happened on the outskirts of Keystone State Park in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. So if you're in that area, keep an eye out. It appears there's a history of Bigfoot roaming around in the area, scaring little girls. So, before we go on to any other stories today, I do want to take this few seconds here to encourage you to like my videos, if you like them, and I certainly hope that you do. But it does indicate to YouTube algorithms that people actually watch it and like it, so that they'll recommend it to other viewers. I'd appreciate it if you would hit the like button. It can help my channel grow. Also, check out the links in the description below, and pay attention to the end screen. There are recommendations of other videos that I have done. And just to give you a hint, I'm starting to go state by state and look into different encounters that each state has to offer and have been reported. And who knows, I may get to all 50 states and see if Bigfoot has been there. Alright, up next. This next story, also in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. It looks like it took place in year 1967. This is an older story. Long before the topic of Bigfoot was very popular, actually. Now this reads, I was a camper at Camp Fairfield in the summer of 1967. I was 8 years old, my first time at camp. It was sponsored by Wilkinsburg Baptist Church. I lived in Wilkinsburg until I graduated high school in 1977. It was a 2-week camp. Arrived on Saturday and left on Sunday, 15 days later. We were assigned cabins by age. My brother, being older, was assigned a different cabin. There was about 10 boys to an open cabin and a counselor who slept inside with us. I had never really overcome a little bedwetting and had an accident a few days into camp. This opened me to huge ridicule and laughter. I need to go to the bathroom late at night to prevent a repeat occurrence. Only one problem. The common outhouse was about 70 to 100 yards down an unlighted path. There was no way I was going to use a flashlight alone at 8 and go to the bathroom. We were not allowed to pee off the porch into the bushes for obvious reasons. So I devised a plan. I would wait until the other boys and the counselor would fall asleep, then sneak out a few feet away from the cabin to quickly pee. This worked beautifully for about 5 or 6 nights. The head counselor always made a head count about 11 o'clock, because lights out was 10 o'clock. He would come down the path and count us all by flashlight and go to each cabin counting. I would wait for this count, then after about a half hour, sneak out and back in. This particular night it was raining lightly. I remember seeing the counselor with a yellow raincoat as he counted. He went on the path as usual. I remember at lunch everyone saying a bear had been overturning the garbage at night. This revelation redoubled my resolve not to venture to the outhouse after dark. This night I heard footsteps returning to the cabin through the forest, not the path from another direction. I thought it's strange the head counselor would return. He had never returned before. And why would he cut across the woods instead of the path? I heard walking behind the cabin, first to the right, and then back to my left, past my head. I heard footfalls come around to the front of the open cabin door. It was just a doorway with no door. As I looked to see who this was, a big gorilla-looking thing appeared at the doorway. He did not step on the porch, but was so big he filled the doorway. He was giant. There were at least 4 steps, and his head was at the top of an 8-foot doorway, not on the porch. He looked directly into the doorway. I could see he had black-brown fur and a cone-shaped head. His eyes reflected like a cat's eyes, with like almost red and yellow mixed. It was as if he could see me looking straight at him. I figured if I could see his eyes, he probably could see mine. I squinted and tried to feign sleep, being too frightened to move, and did not dare utter a sound or move a muscle. He stood there a good 2 to 5 minutes, and then he turned and headed up to the mess hall. Then I heard in the distance garbage cans being turned over. I got up the next morning asking, did a gorilla escape from the zoo? Because I saw him last night. And it was a gorilla turning over the cans, not a bear. I had never heard of Bigfoot and wouldn't hear of him until some 7, 8, or 9 years later. I, being born in the ghetto, had never heard of anything like that. Everybody cracked up, and I, being young, sloughed it off. I knew what I saw, and they were the dummies, not knowing that Africa wasn't the only place that had gorillas. That's just terrifying. For a Bigfoot to come look into the open cabin and look at all those young children in there, most of them asleep, except for this person who wasn't asleep and actually saw the thing. I don't know how you handled that at such a young age. That would just scare me to death. It would scare me to death right now. What a story. You know, I'll bet somebody out there listening to this right now has had something similar happen. You know, if it's happened once, it's probably happened again. If you've had an encounter, send it in to us, bfrealencounters@mail.com. We'll spread your story around. We'll let folks know that, yeah, they're real. They're out there. You know, in a court of law, most cases are won on witness testimonies. And that's what this is. This is witness testimony. That's actual evidence. It's people telling what happened to them. So we need to tell what happens to us, and this is a good place to do that. You know, I started this because I enjoy listening to the stories. I've always been interested in the Bigfoot phenomena, and I, since the advent of the internet, have been listening to different channels: Dixie Cryptid, HowToHunt.com, Bigfoot Case Files, Buckeye Bigfoot, and many others that do the similar thing, which is what inspired me to do this. And what kicked me in the pants to really get out and do it was some of the ones that had got backlogged with emails of so many encounters, people wanting to tell what happened to them, to get it off their chest. And I said, you know what? I can read emails. I can tell the stories for these people. I'll start a channel, and they send it to me. I'll faithfully tell their stories for them. I'm not going to keep details out of it like some websites are reported to do, where they take certain key elements out of the stories and don't let them get publicized. I'm not going to do anything like that. So yeah, I listened to Steve Isdall and Cam Buckner and those guys talking about the emails that they get, and they're backlogged, thousands of them, and I'm thinking, hey, I can read some. So if you've got some encounters, hey, I'll read your encounter. Let's get the evidence out there. We are the evidence. Okay? If you know of somebody else that has some, encourage them to go public. Share their stories. Join the producing of evidence. All right? Well, that's it for today. Thanks for listening. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you're notified when I do upload another one. And share this around to your friends and family and neighbors. And maybe somebody that you don't like. I don't know. Maybe you might want to do that. But anyways, I'm glad that you listened in. We'll catch you in the next one. Once again, another great story. Thanks for tuning in. Please share your encounter. Email us, bfrealencounters@mail.com. Your story is very important. we will treat it with the respect that it deserves. Also, be sure to smash the like button, share, and subscribe. Thanks once again. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Watch out for our next video. Maybe we'll feature yours. Have a great day.